Hi everyone, welcome to week 4. This training is on helping your teammates find their fire. And I'm excited to talk about this. It really ties in well with week 1, which was helping you find your passion. So let's get started with that chapter. Mary mentioned some interesting quotes at the beginning. She said there were some statistics from the Direct Sales Association that half of all sellers leave within the first 3 months, and 4 out of 5 leave within the first year. That's pretty significant when you consider 40 to 50% of those individuals who sign up to sell are gone by the end of the first year. So I don't know if you can look back at your team and see those kind of statistics or not, but you could potentially look back at how many zeros you might have in your numbers, people that aren't maybe selling or are not selling as much, and that might give you some indication of who used to be on fire with Scentsy or Velada, and maybe even Grace Adele, and maybe who's not so much anymore. There are a lot of key contributors to that. Sometimes it's even that we as leaders were unengaged. Maybe we didn't know exactly how to keep our team members excited. Maybe we were going through life circumstances that didn't allow us the time or the opportunity to get involved with our team as much as we wanted to. It might not have been that we didn't want to do it. Sometimes we don't know how. Maybe somebody didn't teach us how to do it, and many of us do learn by example. So that can be a kind of a sticky situation, particularly if you don't know how to go back and you can't really do it over. But I do believe that you can come back and try to fix it. It's never too late to try again with your team. I do think that telling them, I'm really sorry that I didn't get started the way that I wish I had. I've learned a lot since then, and I'd kind of like to do some things differently with you now that I've learned more. So let's kind of wipe the slate clean and start over as if this was a new business for you. I think that goes a long way with people. So one thing you want to do when you sign somebody up is make them feel incredibly welcome. If they don't feel welcome by you, they're certainly not going to feel like they're part of your team. And they don't call it Scentsy family for nothing. We all very much feel a part of the Scentsy family, and so we want to make those individuals who join feel like they're part of our family as well. That is one of the key things to keeping them engaged in their business, and helping them realize that you care about them, but they're going to see even more that their team members care about them, because as we get engaged with them, other team members will get engaged as well. So even if your recruit is a really good friend and you've known them for a long time, you want to have a welcome interview with them, sit down. You want to have the opportunity to get to know them a little bit better and build a better relationship. But this is going to be more on a business level and not just on a friendship level. And there are 2 reasons why you want to do this. Number 1, you want to learn all you can about their lifestyle, the circumstances that they're in, expectations that they may have about the business, where they think it's going to take them. You want to be the most supportive that you can be with them, and you can't really do that if you don't know where their mind is at. Number 2, you want to help find the goal that's going to motivate your recruit through that first year of their business. In asking them questions and in having this interview with them, you're going to learn a lot more about them to help them find that goal that will help. If you can do the interview in person, that is optimal. But if you can't, since we're able to do a lot of recruiting online, and we may get team members that are across the state or even across the country now, in other parts of the world, you could certainly do interviews via Skype. You can do it on the phone. You can FaceTime if you have that option. Those are all possibilities. So if you can do that, that's a great way to do it. Visual is always a good thing. People connect really well that way. But if you can't do it, the phone is an okay way to do it. You certainly don't want the interview to be an interrogation. You want them to feel very comfortable with you. Pages 84 and 85 have got some really good sample questions, and I would encourage you to go there and look through all of them, and those will just hopefully get you started, and you can maybe build some more on those questions as you read through them, and maybe it'll spark some other ideas. But make sure that you take notes when you do an interview. Start a file for each of your team members. Even if you're going back and kind of doing it over again with a team that you have already well established, this way you're going to be able to look up information and notes easily on them. You'll have dates for things, maybe anniversaries. Of course, we have birthdays already in our workstation, but we don't have anniversaries, and you might want to have dates for kids' birthdays or things like that. But I like to have a communication file. This is something that I can write down information on when I get a hold of someone. Have I had a, did they win an incentive, and what did I send them? What's the date of all that? When did I send it out? Did I send postcards or a birthday card, or is there any kind of recognition that they received? Anytime I would have a conversation with somebody, is there even a compliance issue that maybe came up with them or another team member that I should document and keep track of? I may have emails, and if that's the case, I might even write down the subject of the email so that it's easy for me to find. But more than anything, I want to keep track of those positive things. That's the biggest reason for me having a communication chart, is just to keep track of the good things. Another big thing as you're having an interview with them is to find their goal. You've already done this, so you're going to have so many good pointers to help them, and you can certainly utilize chapter 1 in kind of guiding and directing them. But just like you need a goal to help motivate you through your business, they're going to need a goal as well, or they're going to get very disillusioned and frustrated. Don't make the mistake of overwhelming them with training in their first year. They have so much to learn, and they're not going to be able to learn it all at once. And like a computer or anything else, you really can overwhelm and overload with too much information to where they're just going to shut down. So help your recruit establish a goal. It really helps to bond you to them, but don't become impatient if it takes them a little while to figure out what that goal is. Just give them some time to think through it, and don't be too quick to jump in and interrupt. Share your goal with them. That's a really important part of bonding with them. And I think too, it's very easy for people, particularly as you get higher up in title, for people to put you on a pedestal, and you're just a normal person like they are. And sometimes you sit there, whatever level you're at, and say, gosh, I don't even sometimes know how I managed to get here. And but they're looking up at you with stars in their eyes, and they see you as such a big deal. And by sharing your goal with them, it really helps humanize you to them, and they realize that you're just a regular person like they are, with regular goals and regular dreams, and you're working just as hard as they are to reach those same goals and dreams that they are. So that is really something I think it is a very important thing for you to do. And sharing it with them, it's almost like kind of opening this door, kind of allows them permission to see inside of you for a while, and that's something that kind of endears you to them, and likewise it makes them more comfortable to share with you. Even if you've asked questions during a sponsoring interview, you definitely want to ask more. The only way you really get to know somebody is by asking questions. I love what Mary said on page 86. And she talks about how a goal comes from the gaps that we have in our life, and that really helps motivate us. And, you know, we all have different gaps, and questions are going to reveal what those gaps are. Motivating us, that's such a challenging thing, because the differences in those gaps, what motivates one person isn't going to motivate somebody else. So we have to become very skilled at asking questions, and you don't learn about people by doing all the talking. I think sometimes leaders feel that they have to, and again, it kind of goes back to the whole training thing. Good leaders are good listeners. And as you ask more questions, you learn so much more about someone. So you have to ask the right questions so that you can get to the heart of your recruit. And they have to be interesting questions so that this individual is really going to be interested in talking to you. Your questions should be focused, so you can really find the goal that's special enough to keep your recruit interested for that first year, and you want to keep them motivated so they'll want to keep learning. If their goal is not interesting, they are really going to care less, because it's going to be easy to walk away from that goal. You also have to keep your questions appropriate to the situation. They're going to have a very hard time connecting or engaging if you're focused on maybe building a custom home or talking about, you know, saving money to buy a Mercedes. If they're really struggling to make ends meet and they're out garage sailing to buy clothes for their kids, maybe they can't even, you know, buy things for Christmas or, you know, put gas in their car, but you're doing fine where money's concerned and you're just focused on the glitz. That's going to be very hard for them to connect with you. So make sure that the questions that you ask are really appropriate to their situation. Mary has some really excellent questions on page 87 that give you additional help as you assist your recruit in finding their goal. So you definitely want to look at those. And remember, when you are interviewing or when you're getting ready to sign someone up, when they are showing interest, and then when they join, to really, really pay attention to the things that they say. You can learn an awful lot about somebody's reasons for signing up, which can give you a lot of tips and recommendations on maybe a potential goal, because they do say a lot. They share an awful lot. And you might find out exactly what direction to lead them in for goal setting. So pay close attention. Don't forget that goals are incredibly personal. Not everybody is very quick to share them. So even if you're interviewing somebody and you're sharing with them, they still may not be completely comfortable or quick to share goals with you. If somebody's ashamed maybe of their situation or their circumstances, it just may take them a while to get to that point. So you have to also be aware when somebody's maybe in that position and just do your best with them. Direct sales is really driven by goals. So if you don't have a goal, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle to motivate and encourage your team. It's going to be really hard to keep them engaged. If they have exciting goals, it's going to keep them going when their fire could go out and when they hit obstacles and brick walls. When the world tries to defeat them, if they have an exciting goal, that's what's going to keep their fire burning and keep them going. So it's really important, because like now that we're learning how to keep them motivated, and we're learning, so many of us are already saying, wow, I had no idea this is how I should be setting a goal for myself and this is how to do it. They're all probably sitting back thinking they don't even know what a goal is. And they're probably setting the same goals for themselves that we were setting for ourselves, like, oh, I just want to hit director, instead of setting an achievable goal that is really going to better their life. So that's up to us to help them. Now that we know better, we need to pass that on to them. And as we do that, we're going to see the dynamics in our team change tremendously. It's a very exciting thing. So short-term goals are okay at first, but we need to make sure that they're really going to have a punch to them. Many top achievers start with small goals, and then they kind of change them and add to them as they realize the potential their business holds. Scentsi's 15-day shooting star and 70-day sensational start are really perfect examples of this, and we as leaders should be encouraging every single one of our recruits and every single one of our team members. We should be encouraging them to encourage all of their recruits to shoot for these and earn these incredible opportunities. Scentsi is giving us such a great chance to build our business early on, and so these really should be the first stepping stones for our new recruits. But those are the short-term goals. They still need a long-term goal to aim for. Remind your recruits that are struggling in choosing a goal that if they can't narrow it down to one, and they are looking at 2 or 3, and they're thinking maybe they'll just stick with those 2 or 3, that they've still got to juggle life and business and family. So one effective goal is really going to be more than enough for them when it comes to being motivational. And then they need to just remember to follow Mary's golden rule of goal setting, which is one goal, 1 year, one step at a time. Just like you, encourage them to post that goal everywhere they can see it, so it's a constant reminder to them of what they're working toward. The more we see those things, the more exciting it is to us, and the closer we get to it, the more overwhelming it is, and the more we want to run towards that finish line to get it accomplished. Be sure that you read the promise on page 88 and 89 that Mary suggests you encourage your recruit to make to you. As she said, with the cost of Scentsi being so small at just $99, when people hit walls or speed bumps, it really is easy for them to get in, but then it's that much easier for them to get out when they encounter struggles and difficulties. It's just so easy for them to give up. They just figure, okay, didn't have to make much of an investment. Why should I stay in? I can just walk away from this. It's no big deal. And we are in a job where we want to try to help people see the long-term opportunity. So we've got to work a little bit harder. And the promise that she encourages us to ask our team members to make, I think, is an excellent one. And I just encourage us all to even now go back to our team members, especially those who maybe are struggling, and reconsider making that promise. The smaller the investment, the less difficult it is for our team members to commit, so it really does become a lot easier for them to walk away. Consider keeping a record of all your team members' goals so you know better how to encourage them. And when you see them faltering, when you see them frustrated, when you get texts or emails where they call you, you'll know what it is they're working towards, whether it's saving for their kids' college, or maybe they're saving towards a trip, or they're working really hard towards that incentive trip, or whatever the goal is. You can tell them, I know how hard you're working for this, and I know that you're going to do it. You have all of the ability in the world, and I know that you're frustrated right now, because I've been there myself. I have very frustrating days too, but we're going to get through this together, and you're going to get there. And being able to empathize with them, being able to encourage them, and encourage them specifically about their goal, just reinforces to them that you care, that you are mindful of what they're doing. It shows compassion for them, and they don't feel lost, like nobody cares about what I'm doing and what I'm doing this for. And I think that shows the sign of a really sensitive leader. One thing that you can do to end your welcome interview is to take a photo to use for sharing their achievements on your Facebook group, your newsletter, things like that. And you could even consider as a welcome gift to your team, give them a magnet that they could print out their goal on a piece of paper or write it out, and then they could post their goal on the refrigerator, or give them a photo album or a photo frame that they could put it inside of that and hang it up somewhere or set it on their desk. That, I think, is a nice gift to welcome them into the Scentsy family and into your team. Tom Hiddleston made a statement, and he said, "You never know what's around the corner. It could be everything or it could be nothing. You keep putting one foot in front of the other, and then one day you look back and you've climbed a mountain." I really love that quote. The same could be said for all of us. We never know when success will come in this business, how it will come, what it will take for it to happen. And success can mean one thing to me and something entirely different for one of you. We just have to keep setting our goals, helping our teams set their goals, and take it a step at a time until we reach the summit. For your homework, I would like for you to speak personally with at least 2 of your frontline members. Help them set a personal goal for the next year using Mary's suggestions in Chapter 8. Then I want you to just email your experiences, and I recommended 2 minimum because the first one is probably going to be an interesting experience for you, and it may be a little difficult, and the second one is going to be a little easier. So I think at least 2 is a good number. If you choose to do more than that, that's perfectly fine, and if you don't, it's okay to stop with that. This is my last video with you in the series. I wish you all tremendous success as you lead your teams, and I hope you have many opportunities to set new goals in your future as you achieve each one you plan for yourself. All the best to you, and I thank you so much for listening.